Hi, this is Sherry from The Longest Day, and I'm with two amazing designers, dynamic duo couple. Here we have, this is Jonathan Levien, and this is Nipa Doshi, and I just want to welcome them so much because they're super busy and they took time out to meet us. They have designed some of the most world-famous, exquisite pieces of furniture, and today we're in the Moroso showroom during Clerkenwell Design Week, and we're just going to talk to them a bit about, what really, so many things I want to ask you, but first of all, what has inspired you as a couple to come into this business in general, I would say?
Well, Nipa and I met at the Royal College of Art in '95, and we were there for 2 years, and we were very, I would say, exacting critics of each other's work, which continues to this day. We have a very dynamic relationship. We're always very sort of honest to each other about process and how we work, and so we decided actually to work for other people when we graduated from college. And I went to work for Ross Lovegrove for 3 years. Nipa worked with David Chipperfield, and after about 3 years of working outside, we decided to get together and work. It wasn't really as a studio at that point. It was really just to work on a project together. And it was Tom Dixon, who was creative director of Habitat at that time, gave us our first, kick-started our studio, gave us a project to design cutlery for Habitat. And so we started working together in a very informal, kind of non-organized way, but it was a beginning for us.
I think that I also feel that one of the reasons, to work with somebody is they have skills that you don't have. And I think that definitely with Jonathan and me, it's really a coming together, not only of cultures, but also I think of a particular skill set, because I work very much with color, and I'm a very visual person, whereas Jonathan is very much coming from a making background, very three-dimensional, understands materials and processes. So I think that obviously he had something that I wanted. And I think that that's, in a way, is a good partnership when somebody has something that you don't, and the reason to work with them.
And that brings me to talk about your partnership. So, I mean, obviously you work together and you're a couple. So what happens when you don't agree on something?
We started off as friends in college, very much working together. So in fact, that's the only relationship I really know with Jonathan. And I think, like any partnership, whether you're a couple or not, when you have two individuals, creative individuals working, each with a very strong point of view, I think that what we really try to do in the studio situation is we want to do the best work. I don't think it's important for either of us that my project goes forward or my idea goes forward. I think we collectively want to do the best possible project and best possible design, and I think that's the guiding sort of force behind any projects that we do. And of course, we both also think that we are right, so I think we have to kind of find a way. But I don't think that I think it's more about working with each other's ideas, and that's how we really create projects. And I'm also the kind of person at the end of, because I don't really develop projects in the studio, I'm kind of more on the outside. I look at things, I'm very visual. So often in projects, I'll come in almost towards the end and say, I don't like it. And then Jonathan will say, well, can you communicate what you don't like? And, so I think, of course, there is that kind of, I'm very much involved in the beginning with Jonathan at the ideas level, and then I'm out of the project. So I think, and communication is not my strength, to communicate what I want. I know what I like, but I don't know exactly what it is, so it takes time to express that.
I think that ever since Royal College days, we've always maintained a very individual approach to design. And you might assume that to have a partnership, you need to be getting on, the whole time. Well, in fact, I think the opposite is true. I think you have to have a difference in opinion. And I think there has to be an effort to reconcile those differences. And that is the act of creation. That's what we're doing. But, as Nipa says, we both have to argue our points and argue as best we can, and then ultimately be objective, because this thing that we're creating has its own life, So we have to recognize when it's the best idea that we're making.
What would you say the thing is that's most impressed you in what you've created? Which project or which particular piece of furniture are you the most proud of? Maybe not impressed, but the most proud of that you've done together?
I think rather than point to one object and say this one has impressed us the most, I would say what impresses us in general is the nature of the creative directors with whom we're working with the companies, be it Moroso, B&B, Ketal. What they have in common is they all have very strong creative guidance, and it's like the owner is the person who's the creative director. And there's, just the process of developing and creating pieces with these very special people is incredible for us.
So I wanted to ask you about your collaboration with Moroso and the fact that now it's 10 years and we're celebrating a 10-year anniversary this evening, I believe. So can you just tell me about some of the big projects you've done over the course of 10 years and the ones you're, really want to highlight in your career? I'd really like to hear about those.
10 years ago, more or less to this day, we started our first project with Moroso, which was the project that really launched us on the international stage in Milan. And it was a project where we decided to bring together the craftsmanship of India with the industrial precision and manufacture of Italy. So in a sense, it was the coming together or the best of both worlds of Indian craftsmanship and European production.
I think that the Charpoy collection was very experimental. I think it was also very beautifully crafted, and in a way, although it was a production piece, it wasn't something that you think will be specified in many spaces. But I think we carried on with the beautiful backside sofa, which I think is one of the most iconic sofas of our generation, if I may say so, which is these floating cushions, and the name comes from, in fact, Patricia's, she wanted to say, should it be my beautiful bottom? I said, no, it's the backside is probably better, and I think that there's the kind of these beautiful, so of course we did the beautiful backside sofa, which you see is a very exuberant, very iconic and strong piece. But then in contrast, we've also done this injection molded chair that you're sitting on. Modernista is our latest collection, which is really inspired from mid-century modern architecture of Brazil and, hot countries where modernism has really thrived. We've done the paper planes collection, which started, in fact, from using crystal on fabric and very much about tailoring and pattern cutting. Then last year we launched the Armada collection, which is a very sculptural acoustic chair for public spaces where you can create environment through a piece of furniture inspired from billowing sails of a ship. So I think what you will see, in fact, in our projects with Moroso is the plural approach of Doshi Levien. I think this plural, diverse design language, which you cannot sort of pinpoint and say that there are similarities between the projects, but also it reflects how plural and inclusive Moroso is to accommodate this big diversity of ideas that we've had.
There's a reason why, and I'm not ashamed to say myself, that this piece is quite enduring and has a longevity. And I think what's underlying this is there's a kind of it's a strong piece. It's visually quite challenging, but it's also very natural. And I think this is down to the fact that the way we use materials and the way we prototype pieces in the studio is that we let the materials do the talking. And we've kind of mastered the way in which materials move and the way we can dart and cut and allow materials to guide the direction of the pieces. So I think this is something that really lends a longevity to that particular piece, and in fact all the work we're doing.
Thank you so much. It's really a pleasure meeting you both and hearing about what you've done in your journey. So thanks very much for being part of the journey. Thank you.
Thank you very much.